class, first I will find the video or the text that I can find in the internet. Usually, I like to present this article with the video because it is interesting for me and for the student, and it's like a visual picture. So it is okay for the student to learn after they watch the video. I will ask them some question like have you ever seen this article? Have you ever seen this clip? Something like that to get their experience about the article. And after that, in the overt instruction, I will apply to ask them with yes/no questions and WH questions. Ask them to find the details in the text in the article like this.
Yes.
And then in the critical framing, I would like them to find out the reason or the environment, the context. That's why she is here. She has to be adult learner in the 6 years old class. Ask them to find the reason. And the last step, the transform practice. This is applying. Maybe I ask them to work in group and have a discussions about this article. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the whole arc of your lesson there. Maybe some of you have something similar or something more or a little bit different. Let's go through that a little bit first. The situated practice, you were saying to show the video and then ask the students later, have you seen anything like this before? That could be also with, oh look, how many of you watch the news? Or how many of you read the newspaper, right? Kind of getting them to think about news and then show the video, right? So the warm up, they're experiencing something. And then the overt instruction, you said, Ajahn, would be more the comprehension check, right? What's happening here, yes or no questions, who, what, where, when, why, all the journalistic questions. So you could see if they understand it. And your critical framing was more about them thinking about how a 20-year-old girl is in a grade 1 classroom, right? So you're putting that issue there of the never too old to learn. And then you'll have a group discussion in your transform practice. For this, it could be kind of like a discussion panel, if you want. The groups can come together and discuss with other groups and lead a discussion about a social issue so that they're a kind of a combination of the critical framing and the transform practice. They're trying to apply their language skills with the social issue. So yeah, thank you. How about in Narathiwat? We have a team of 3 teachers here who are going to share.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, hello.
Hello, I'm from Narathiwat. I'm not sure about my lesson is critical thinking. At first, for my purpose, I would like to teach the student about the healthy food for my lesson. At first, I tell the story to my student. Apples a day keep the doctor away. I told the story that there are the doctor and sailor. The 2 men fell in love the same girl. The girl name is Jane. One day the sailor have to go to the duty at Narathiwat. So before he went to Narathiwat, he gave the girl for 7 apples. And I asked the student why. I think it is the critical thinking. And the last, I tell the student the meaning of the story, apples they keep the doctor away, is mean that the student choose to eat healthy food, fruit or vegetable every day. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you. So this is something completely different from the news report, but it's still applying critical thinking. But what you were doing there was using the famous expression, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away," and then telling a story with the students and making kind of like a riddle, right? Trying to figure out why would this man give seven apples, right, every day, a week? I think what could be done there would be asking students the meaning of the lesson, right? The main message, and hopefully they laugh in the end. All right, thank you. How about here in Bangkok? Ajanta.
Okay. From the video, yeah, I think that I agree with the teacher at Hua Hin, okay, the step that we will bring this video to the classroom. And can I ask the last one about the situation? I agree that we will divide the student in the group, okay? From our group, we will give them the situation. If you were that student, 28 student, because it's the big gap between the student 28 and 6 years old, and how about the problem or something that might happen in the classroom, or if you were that student. Or another group will be if you were the person in the community, and how do you do with the student like that. And another group might be the teacher, how to teach, because it's not easy to teach the student like that. Okay, and then we will wrap up, because this video, I think that I would like to bring in my classroom, because some naughty student in my classroom could see this. 28 students would like to learn, and they have a big chance to learn in the classroom, and why? Or something like that. It's very nice. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. It's more putting them in their shoes. We were discussing this here earlier, how you put your students in someone else's shoes. So it's role playing and being that, trying to embody or be that person. What would you do? How would you feel if you were illiterate? How would you feel if your classmate is much older than you? And maybe in some ways wiser, right? Maybe both of them could be wise because they have different experiences. So there's that level too. And also showing this to your students is maybe giving them a chance to think about, wait a minute, I'm in a classroom, I should take advantage of my learning. And she just went and wanted to do it on her own. And it's true, a lot of students don't think about how lucky they are to be in a classroom, how lucky they are to be learning. Because some students, some young people probably don't want to work or don't want to be at home, or just they want to do something. So I think that is another lesson. I hope that you share with us what your students think when you play it for them. Thank you.
May I add something? I usually prefer something a little more challenging. It's like we can use the same video and divide the student into groups. But I will tell them that suppose the principal thought that or said that it's against the rules, so he cannot accept the old student, and she was not given the opportunity. Then what would happen? Then the student have to expect to think about the problems and also suggest how to solve the problems. So we can add some skill like problem solving skill into our classroom also.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. That is one of the key competencies. I can't talk today. One of the key competencies, right, with multiliteracy in teaching here in Thailand, where we also add a moral skill there. ethics, right? There's this, I like how you added the challenge, right? We play the video, we do the role play, and then you add a problem. What would you do if this problem was here? Even though that problem wasn't there, at least we know in the story, right? So this is about like ethics or following rules. What should we do if we really want to help or follow the rules, right? And then we go through all the steps of conflict resolution. Thank you. Oh, Kun Damon would like to add something.
Ajahn, here in Bangkok, you made one statement that I'd like you to clarify. You said it might be more difficult to teach a student like that. But I think on the other hand, it might be actually more easy to teach a student like that because she's there because she wants to be there, as opposed to the other students who are there because they have to be there. So I don't know. Could you clarify what you meant by that?
I mean, it's like when we're the teacher, because it's difficult, it's mean like that, the technique, how to use, okay? Because I appreciate the teacher that she is very brave to teach the student like that. But for me, I think that it's how to use like a technique for that between the gap.
The age gap.
Yeah, yes.
It's just like having a classroom of multi-level learners, right? How do you reach the middle? Some might be bored, some might be, it might be too hard for them. Okay, thank you. All right, good ideas. Ooh, that means we are ready to talk about your work. So the next part of the session is the teacher work or student work, really. We have a few samples today. 2 posters, a poster, a video, and I think an activity, a group activity of looking into the news. So first, let's go into what the goals were, the objectives for the lesson. And let's share first with Ajahn Ta and Ajahn Phai their poster. So if we can show that on the screen, what their students did, and they can explain what the lesson was about. So, yes.
They are allowed to brief on because there are many good points.
Oh, okay. Okay, Ajahn Leo will first explain what teachers were saying.
ค่ะคือฟังแล้วมันมีประเด็นที่อยากสรุปและอยากให้ทุกคนได้เห็นว่าเราสามารถที่จะทำกิจกรรมในห้องเรียนที่เกี่ยวข้องกับเรื่องของลักษณะของการสอน multiliteracy ให้แก่นักเรียนเราอาจารย์จากทั้งนราธิวาสทั้งหัวหินและกรุงเทพได้ให้ point ที่น่าสนใจและกิจกรรมที่พบคือเราจะไม่พูดในส่วนหน้านะคะเราจะพูดในส่วนท้ายที่เป็นเรื่องถึงระดับที่เป็นเรื่องของ critical framing กับ transformed practice ทุกคนก็เสนอกิจกรรมหลากหลายแต่ประเด็นที่เห็นร่วมกันก็คือเปิดโอกาสให้นักเรียนได้คิดนะคะกิจกรรมที่ฟังแล้วก็เรียนก็พยายามที่จะสรุปความก็คืออาจจะเริ่มต้นจากการที่เปิดโอกาสให้เด็กได้อภิปรายแต่กิจกรรมที่การอภิปรายเนี่ยก็มีการเสนอหลายมุมมองที่1ก็คือการทำคล้ายๆเหมือน panel discussion ก็คือหาประเด็นมา1ประเด็นแล้วก็แบ่งกลุ่มแล้วก็ให้กลุ่มเป็นตัวแทนเพื่อจะพูดในเรื่องนั้นแต่ในแง่มุมของแต่ละคนนะคะอันนี้ก็เป็นอีก1ประเด็นที่พบถ้าเป็นประเด็นที่2ก็คือการที่ทางอาจารย์เอมุสาบอกว่าอยากจะให้ more challenging ก็คือให้มีท้าทายขึ้นแทนที่จะหยิบประเด็นที่เป็นประเด็นทั่วๆไปกับยกประเด็นที่มันเอ็กซ์ตรีมคือตรงกันข้ามเลยเพราะว่าเราพบว่าผอ.บอกว่าแม้ว่าอายุเกินภาคบังคับแต่ก็จะให้เรียนถ้าเป็นกลับว่าผอ.ไม่ให้เรียนลักษณะนั้นก็ตั้งสถานการณ์ใหม่เพื่อจะให้นักเรียนได้มีโอกาสคิดมากขึ้นหาทางแก้ปัญหาก็จะเป็นการมุมมองอีกมุมมองหนึ่งซึ่งน่าสนใจนะคะในขณะเดียวกันก็จะเป็นเรื่องของว่าเราจะช่วยสังคมยังไงแล้วก็ในฐานะครูเราจะทำยังทางกรุงเทพก็มีอีก1ประเด็นก็คือแทนที่จะเป็นเรื่องของการเป็น panel discussion ทางนครสวรรค์ก็เสนอว่าเราอาจจะแบ่งกลุ่มนักเรียนออกมาเป็น3 หรือ4ประเด็นในที่นี้อาจารย์ยกมา3ประเด็นว่าประเด็นที่1คือในเรื่องเดียวกันแล้วถ้าสมมุติว่าเราเป็นเด็กคนนั้นเราจะรู้สึกอย่างไรหรือจะทำอย่างไรในประเด็นที่2ก็คือถ้าเราเป็นผอ.เราจะช่วยผอ.อย่างไรแล้วในประเด็นที่3ถ้าเราเป็นครูเราจะจัดการเรียนการสอนอย่างไรในสถานการณ์นั้นซึ่งทั้งหมดนี้ก็น่าสนใจมากเป็นกิจกรรมที่หลากหลายแล้วเราก็คงต้องมาสามารถเลือกเอาเข้ามาใช้นะคะคราวนี้สุดท้ายก็คือคุณเดมอนก็ให้ข้อสังเกตว่าบางทีการจัดการเรียนการสอนของครูก็อาจจะสอนได้ง่ายขึ้นนะคะเพราะว่าเด็กผู้หญิงคนนั้นอยากเรียน want to learn ไม่ใช่ถูกบังคับให้เรียนเหมือนนักเรียนเราทั่วไปคือ have to learn ค่ะนะคะแล้วต่อไปก็จะเป็นทัสที่เราจะทำเพิ่มเติมมาจากประเด็นตรงนั้นคือจะเอางานที่ทางครูได้ทางอาจารย์ได้ส่งงานผลงานเด็กๆมาให้เราแล้วก็คงจะมีการพูดคุยถึงผลงานเด็กต่อค่ะ
Thank you. All right. So let us ask Ajahn Dan, Ajahn Phai about their poster. And while we put it up on the screen so the teachers at the other sites and on TV can see what their students did while you explain.
Okay, we both from Nakhon Sawan School, Nakhon Sawan, the gateway to the north. We still keep thinking about multiliteracy all the time while teaching English. And we try to find some more else activities to support our teaching. Which activity is the best? At last, we agree with all of you. The project-based learning is our answer. Yeah, that's all about multiliteracy activities. Preparing the kids, the students to the 21st century people. We never know what happened. We may be gone because we too old to learn. I don't know. Because we very old and the kids are our students. They're still alive and try to survive in the 21st century. So we think that we discussed a lot about this and we think that we, the teacher, have to change our roles. We have to not only the people who only teach, not only teach, but we must be the coach, like the trainer, to let the student learn, try out and find out everything by themselves as much as they can for their lifelong or long life learning. As because both of us, we have done about the project work every year. And we also share you at the end of the second semester. But for these sessions with Ajahn Che and all the staff, I mean that my students, 8 classes of our students, around 400 students altogether, M1 and M4, and we both work together as a teamwork, as a teacher. We mean that the students and us, we think together, plan together, work together, and walk together. We learn something from the student as well, as we have told you that we try to coach, not only teach. We will present our project next Friday. Ajahn Dalat will tell you about our plan a bit, please.
Thank you.
This week is about advertisement because we have discussed in the classroom about how to do the project work. The theme for this time is about act locally, think globally, good citizenship. Okay, and we discussed about that. The student design that poster. Okay, and for advertisement they do 2 parts. A short movie and poster. And for us, we think that the word for the poster is very important. And you can see that their design is very interesting for us. And for our project, one thing that we talk about how to save, because we don't want them to spend a lot of money for something like that. And I told them that, okay, just black and white poster, it's okay. You can do copy. And one girl came to me and said, she designed this and put the more colorful poster. How about black and white? It's not interesting. So I feel bad. And okay, I said that, okay, I respect your idea. So I will let them put this poster and invite the people to join our presenting next Friday. And I think that it's very lovely to see that they think about how to be good citizen, okay? And they said that good citizens start with you at the family, at school, community, and country. So I think that after their presenting, I can share you more about this.
Yes, project-based learning, beautiful. Thank you. We're going to watch the video, right? Because it was kind of like a public service announcement almost, right? Or advertisement. And you have a black and white copy, but we did show the color there. It is very colorful. It's much brighter. And even from an artistic perspective, it's also very eye-catching, just the angle. And it's making others think about how we can all be good citizens and how it starts with yourself and your family. Again, that whole community of practice. And this whole thing about your lesson on advertisements, how to create advertisements with keywords, collocations, the pictures, where to put it, the layout, all of it is there. And I do love your point about coaching, not necessarily teaching, how you're there to facilitate and respect each other's opinions and working together. It was even very poetic the way you were saying it. Work together, think together, walk together. And that's what project-based learning is all about, because you have this goal, but along the way you are learning and working toward that goal. So while we are thinking about this and absorbing, we're going to set up the video that Kun Pum, I hope, has. Or is it here? Oh, okay, I have it. So we have the poster in front of us and in our handout. And here's one of their students here. And we'll play it again from the beginning. So this is connected with the project, right, on acting locally, thinking globally, how to be a good citizen. So could you explain that video a little bit more, how it connects to the poster and the whole project?
Okay. For advertisement, they do poster and a short movie, and the movie is on the school line to invite anybody to join our project. And on that day, they plan to do like the presentation, and we talk about how to use social issue for their work, and they will present that and include the activity like a role play and some skit, something like that, because we agree that the student behavior today, that we are teacher, we think about their behavior. It's not that we don't like in something, and we try to encourage them how to think positive and do something good. Think good, do good, and feel good, something like that.
or think before they act
Yeah.
too, right?
Yes.
That's why we had the action with the dropping of the books. How to be a good citizen. Find out. Come to the auditorium.
Yeah. Because there are many situations that the people can see on that day. It's just something, just short movie to show.
Oh, it's a teaser. You're teasing us with that video. Thank you. All right. Oh, so it's on next Friday as well, right? So we can't wait to see that the following, or in our last session, what happens, right? All right, thank you. All right, so how were those, the poster and the video, how does that reflect a multiliteracy's approach to teaching? This project that they've started. Anyone from any of the sites, how do those two projects so far reflect multiliteracies? Anyone in Hua Hin or Naratiwat would like to share what they think about that? Even just your opinion, a comment. Or maybe you're doing something similar, or you're thinking of doing something similar.
I get one word, cooperation, corporate learning among students, and both teacher and student learn together from the project-based learning. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, right, cooperating with each other, listening to each other, right? That is active listening, right? Because besides doing something, you have to wait first, right? What is the response? And then we can act appropriately or respond appropriately, right? Cooperative learning. All right. Thank you. Kun Damon would like to add something.
I think this is exciting, showing different literacies, because you have visuals and words and actions all working together. And so it's the literacy of the visual, the literacy of the words, and the literacy of action all coming together. So there's multiliteracy.
And to add to that, thank you, the students were doing that on their own, right? I think you mentioned in your email that they used Photoshop, right? And it's not just basic reading, writing, but they're actually using internet skills, maybe looking stuff up, what is a good advertisement. They're also applying all the other knowledge that they've gained, acquired, just from looking at different advertisements, and they're creating their own from that. So that, in that sense, is literacy, multiliteracy. When they were doing this, they were using computers, and when they produced it, the video, they have to know how to act, because they've watched so many movies or advertisements. They know how to act already. So multiliteracy in that sense. And also what you mentioned with the 21st century skills, because we'll all be gone, right? And they will still be around. They need to stand up on their own 2 feet. And then they need to guide and coach the younger generation when they're older. So the continuum of learning in that sense. Thank you. Wow, okay, I'll be quiet now. Let's go to another teacher. And Ajahn Apon has something to share. Oh, I'm sorry, Ajahn Leo would like to share first.
No, I just want to brief it a bit. สิ่งที่เราได้นะคะจากสรุปจากการอภิปรายตอนนี้ก็คือเรื่องของคอนเซปต์ในการของการที่เราประเด็นที่อาจารย์เชต้องการให้อภิปรายคือคลิปวิดีโอกับโปสเตอร์ที่นำมาตรงนี้2สิ่งนี้มันสะท้อนถึงการ multiliteracy อย่างไรนะคะจากการอภิปรายเราพบว่าคีย์เวิร์ดของมันก็คือ cooperative learning ในที่นี้ไม่ใช่นักเรียนกับนักเรียนแต่เป็นระหว่างครูกับนักเรียนนะคะเพราะว่าจากที่ท่านอาจารย์ดารัตน์และท่านอาจารย์ได้พูดถึงว่าเราทางการจัดการครั้งนี้ครูจะมีหน้าที่แค่เป็นแค่โค้ชนะคะก็ทำให้นึกถึงว่าความจริงคอนเซปต์ของ communicative language teaching อันหนึ่งคือ teacher as a co-learner เหมือนกันครูก็เรียนรู้ไปพร้อมกับเด็กในที่นี้คือเรียนรู้ในสิ่งที่เด็กทำงานซึ่งอาจารย์เชเสริมว่าสกิลที่เขาได้นอกจากตัวที่เป็นเนื้อหาออกมาลึกๆเข้าไปmultiliteracy ที่เด็กได้ก็คือเด็กได้ใช้ทักษะการค้นคว้าจากอินเทอร์เน็ต ทักษะในการดีไซน์รูปแบบของการนำเสนอซึ่งจำเป็นจะต้องใช้หลายอย่างหลากหลายนะคะสิ่งเหล่านี้ก็นำไปสู่ความคิดสร้างสรรค์ด้วยอันนี้ก็เรียกว่าเป็น multi literacy อย่างหนึ่งคุณเดมอนได้เสริมว่าถ้าในแง่ของตัวเนื้อของวิดีโอกับโปสเตอร์สิ่งที่เห็นชัดก็คือมีความหลากหลายไม่ใช่เฉพาะคำคือ words เท่านั้นแต่เป็น visual เป็นสิ่งและเป็น action ด้วยคือใน movie เพราะฉะนั้นจะเห็นว่าการมันจะมีความหลากหลายของรูปแบบเข้ามาเราถึงจะเป็นตัวแทนสิ่งที่เรียกว่า multi literacy นะคะสุดท้ายก็คือที่ท่านได้ปรับมาพูดถึงในแง่ว่าคอนเซ็ปต์อีกอันหนึ่งก็คือการที่เราจะต้องให้นักเรียนของเรายืนอยู่บนขาของตัวเองเพื่อจะเตรียมพร้อมกับการรับในการโลกทศวรรษที่ 21อันนี้ก็เป็นตัวหนึ่งที่แฝงเข้ามาโดยที่ครูนักเรียนเองก็อาจจะไม่รู้แต่ว่าทัสที่เราให้เนี่ยเป็นการฟอร์สให้เขาเนี่ยต้องใช้ความหลากหลายของทักษะซึ่งเขาจะต้องเอาไปใช้ในชีวิตที่เขาจะต้องเจอต่อไปในอนาคตค่ะ
Thank you. All right, so Ajahn Apon would like to share what she did with her class. I think we have some color copies to show in the visualizer as well.
Because in my opinion, I think reading from newspaper gets students have a lot of critical thinking, but some short news have not more detail. So students have to use internet to find out more detail to understanding clearly about the news. Such as my student work in group, they use it when they got 3 or 4 pieces of news, then they find out more detail to support the news from internet. They choose some pictures or some clip video or some YouTube and show in front of the class. Sometimes they act as a reporter, newspaper on TV or on TV program, and then they show PowerPoint of the news and like a TV 360 องศา they touch the screen and open the news.
Oh, they go like that.
Yes, like that. And then they show talk. And this is the first semester for M4, so I told them to conclude in Thai for clearly for your friend. And then after that, they conclusion and discuss, analyze what happened. And if you do this, people, what do you do in the situation? Such as I have a picture from web. They do like that from web and show picture, only picture to show from the picture in color.
The other
you
sheet.
Can see better.
The other one, the other sheet.
Yes. Picture from web, we have 2 or 3 picture. And then sometimes they choose picture and act like a birthday party from some famous people. They do act the face of people on the people and have a happy birthday to more clear. Or sometimes they show the picture of train crashing or flooded or some cartoon. And some students show about clip video from the concert, song singer, and some singer like Elvis Presley or Rolling Stone. Some students don't know because now they know a Korean singer, so they don't know. So they can compare what Elvis Presley and the Korean, which one is better, like that. Then clip video and some clip about astronaut like Neil Armstrong. What happened on the 20 years ago, like that, and they talk. After they finish showing and taking, they are analyze, talking, discuss what happened and what do they do. They do like that. And you asked me about the project. And next term, I think the students in the same class, they will do a project maybe by themselves, newsletter, newspaper, advertisement, or make a video like Nakhon Sawan do, bulletin, magazine, like that, or campaign poster. What do they want to do next term? Thank you.
Thank you. There's always the next term. And then what we're doing with the current term, we move it to the next term.
Yeah.
Keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. All right. Thank you. So from what, before I start speaking, I would like some others to speak. What are the approaches here for multiliteracy with Ajahn Apon's work? How can this be considered multiliteracy or approaching multiliteracy in teaching and learning? All opinions welcome. Could be Naratiwat or Hua Hin also, whoever's ready.
I think of both things. Transform practice and reading between lines for the media messages. And I like the one that students have choices to select which one they like. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, very much so. This is all about the news, and they have to see what detail is missing here. What do we need to flesh out? What do we need to take out and show my classmates, my community, right? This is what the news is about. This is what's missing. Or maybe even this is what was incorrect. Now this is the real information, right? So they are reading between the lines. They are actively searching. They are activating their critical lens, right? So all of this is they are applying the literacy without even realizing they're applying it, because they're talking about it with each other during the project and even after the project, because you ask them, what did you learn? What is happening with this piece of news? There's also the idea of relevance again here, because I think you mentioned with Neil Armstrong, right? And that was in the news. So you pick something that was current, right? And students search for more information. And it's also that's not happening in their country, right? So that's increasing more cultural knowledge, or it's developing what else is asking, being able to ask, being able to be curious, what is going on outside of Thailand, and what can we learn from it? How can it affect us? So, yeah, thank you. And we can't wait to see what they're going to do next term. All right, thank you.
ค่ะก็จะสรุปสั้นๆในส่วนงานของอาจารย์อาภรณ์นะคะคำถามก็คำถามเดิมว่าสิ่งที่อาจารย์ทำกับนักเรียนเนี่ยมันสะท้อนถึง multiliteracy อย่างไรแล้วดิฉันจะขอสรุปภาพรวมๆนะคะก็คือโอกาสที่เด็กจะได้ซึ่งเราจะจำได้ว่าอาจารย์มาร์ตี้เคยพูดในช่วงแรกคือ see the world and understand the world การที่เปิดโอกาสให้นักเรียนได้ไปทำอะไรเองแล้วพวกมานำเสนอเนี่ยมันก็จะเป็นส่วนหนึ่งที่นักเรียนจะได้ see the world คือไปค้นคว้าจากอินเทอร์เน็ตมาแล้ว understand the world เห็นภาพต่างๆว่าในโลกนี้ในประเด็นของสังคมมีอะไรบ้างโดยที่ไม่รู้ตัวหลังจากนั้นเมื่อนำเสนอแล้วก็จะมีการอภิปรายก็เป็นโอกาสที่ให้เขาได้คิดก็คือสิ่งที่เรียกว่า critical thinking จะเข้ามาในส่วนนี้ซึ่งตรงนี้ก็จะมี critical thinking ที่หลากหลายทั้งในแง่ของ culture ของ cultural thinking ของและที่เรียกว่า relevant ทุกอย่างเข้ามาในตัวนี้ก็ขึ้นอยู่กับบริบทว่าสิ่งที่นักเรียนมานำเสนอและครูจะ shape คำถามอย่างไรนะคะทั้งหมดนี้ก็เป็นการขยายจากสิ่งที่เป็นแค่ literacy มาเป็น multiliteracy ค่ะ
Thank you. Does anyone, does any teacher here have work that they brought but didn't email me? Here in Bangkok, Naratiwat or Hua Hin? Because if not, we will move on to assessment. Lovely. And I think it's actually a good time to move on to this as we are approaching the end of the session. Oops. All right. So assessment. When it comes to project-based learning, and I just combine the term to project-based multiliteracy, right, as what teachers from Nakhon Sawan were doing, before beginning a project, it's always important to think about the end of the project, right? What do you want to accomplish? And the questions here, some guiding questions for us teachers, and also for the students, right? How will I know if this project is going to be successful, right? We have to start thinking of the measures or the characteristics of this assessment. And how will I measure what they learn? How will I know what they learn? There has to be some kind of way, right? So you can add more questions to this, but it's good when you are creating your own assessment or evaluation for your students to think first of certain questions like this. How will this be successful? How will the students know they're successful? How will I be able to comment and grade them fairly, right? As fairly as possible. So the question now is, for assessment, what can we do? What can assessments do with multi-literacy projects? There are certain, it's not just about grades, right? It's not just about grades. So what can assessment or evaluation do with multi-literacy projects, you think? There are actually a few functions of assessment. So if we go on to the next slide, it's a little bit slow right now. It's also in your handout. There are actually reasons for assessment in multi-literacy projects. And just like at the beginning of this session, I would like you to just pick one of these and discuss it with your partner and explain how this is a function of assessment in multi-literacy projects. Just pick one of those. I hope you can see it in your handout or on the screen. But these are some reasons for assessment in multi-literacy projects. So let's discuss.
วันนี้ก็จะเข้ามาสู่เรื่องของการวัดประเมินผลแล้วนะคะอาจารย์เชก็เรสประเด็นขึ้นมา2ประเด็นว่าก่อนที่เราจะให้เด็กทำโปรเจกต์เราก็น่าในฐานะครูก็น่าจะคิดว่าโปรเจกต์นี้จะประสบผลสำเร็จไหมและเราจะวัดยังไงที่จะรู้ว่านักเรียนเราเรียนได้เรียนรู้สิ่งใดสิ่งหนึ่งจากงานของที่เขาทำลงไปนะคะคำถามอันนี้ก็คือเป็นเรื่องของประเด็นที่เกี่ยวข้องระหว่างการวัดประเมินผลกับ multi literacy แล้วเราก็จะมีอาจารย์ก็จะมีประเด็นให้มาหลายๆประเด็นนะคะในแง่ของบทบาทหรือหน้าที่ของ multi literacy ของ assessment ใน literacy ใน multi literacy projects งานก็คือให้อาจารย์เลือกมา1อย่างแล้วก็คุยกันตรงไหนเพื่อจะได้ขยายความส่วนนั้นหรืออาจารย์อาจจะมีอย่างอื่นเพิ่มเติมจากตรงนี้ก็ได้ค่ะ
If we're not ready yet, it's okay. We can. I'll ask. How many thought about the first one on the top left? Build relationships between teachers and students. Kun Damon. Would you like to share? Explain.
Yeah, I think assessment should be a dialogue between the student and the teacher. It's not just a one-way street, it's a two-way street. And it should build a dialogue, build a communication between the teacher and the student on what's happening, how is it happening, how's it going on, and where is more assistance needed or where is more learning needed.
Yes, very much so, because it's during the project, right? Like the project with the Good Citizen, you have to know, the teachers and the students have to know what's going on in the project or what's going on in their minds, in your minds. It's all cooperative, right? And you're getting to know the students more, and the students are getting to know you more as well. So the assessment is more than just the end product, but it's also the during product, if that even makes sense. How about who discussed the bottom, the first one in the bottom? helps teachers plan their next steps. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? When you're assessing, okay, what am I going to do now, right? What about the one in the middle, the two in the middle? Did anyone start discussing that or think about that? In Hua Hin or Narathiwat? Here in Bangkok?
Hello.
Any ideas? Oh, yes?
From Narathiwat, okay, my opinion, we are too interesting about help teacher plan their next step. Because I think all the teachers have a lesson plan before teaching. Have 5 levels, I think, warm-up, presentation, practice, introduction, and wrap-up. And the next I think the teacher have a research about case study because of what problem of student in class when the teacher teaching. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So you were referring back to the help teachers plan the next steps, right? That's a good point because we like to be prepared, right? But we also have to learn how to be flexible just in case something changes within the lesson. So as long as you have an outline of what's there in the lesson, we can now see what to do next just in case we need to change anything. All right? Thank you. Yes, Ajahn Leo.
Yes, I want to share that I look at all four points that in the middle and at the right part, the right one. So what I could see would be it helps students self feedback, before, during, and after. Like that in the middle box, it would be help students plan their projects and ask how am I doing, or do that would be the pre one. Students can immediately evaluate their own work, would be like during project, they feedback themselves, try to improve their work. And when they finish, the last one, students make connections between work content and real life content. That would be after the project. So it involves all 3 stages, pre, while, post project.
Right. The whole idea of the project, right? The whole process. We have to evaluate and be aware of our learning, right? What we're constantly learning, what we're adding to our learning. And actually, this is a good chance for us to look at the 2 forms that are in your packet. And we could also show this. So there's the self-assessment form. It's in the back. It's somewhere in your packet. And there's the peer assessment form. And I adapted this from a teacher's wiki space. I was going online, actually. And it's good. Here, Ajahn Leo mentioned the pre, during, post part of the lesson, right? And these you can adapt for your own students. I adapted the other teachers, and I was picturing my students, right? Because it depends on their language level and their class level. So let's look at the evaluating my language learning, right? This part is more about them thinking about their actual lesson, what their task is, and then what skills do they think they're using. Sometimes students aren't aware of that they're actually using their language skills, thinking skills, literacy skills, right? And you can add more here. I put presenting because a lot of us like our students to present, right? You can even have discussing if you want. Researching could be in there. And then this is all about self-reflection, right? What did I gain? What knowledge did I gain? Because then it makes them think about what they didn't know before and what I know now. The second one, different perspectives I got. Actually, you could probably say I understood, right? In here, it's more about seeing from the other side. So if you did the project of Bunruang in the class, they gain a different perspective about learning, maybe, because they put themselves in her shoes or the principal's shoes or the classmates' shoes. And the third one, what I learned from others. Because maybe during the transform practice or critical framing, they were talking, with other classmates, and they can write down, oh, you know, I spoke with my friend and I learned this, right? So this is part of the assessment because they're assessing themselves and they're being more active learners. They're more engaged with the lesson and not just what's my grade, right? It's more what did I learn? So this makes them part of the whole process. And of course I added in the bottom, you could change any of this. The peer language learning is now evaluating each other. And this, as you can see, does not require giving a grade to your peer, because sometimes students don't like to, or their classmates don't like to give each other the grade unless they want to be mean, maybe, or they want to praise the other student, their classmate. So here, at least it allows the classmate to be active also, and not just wait for their turn. When is it my turn to discuss? They're actually paying attention to their classmate and paying respect, right, to the classmate. So here, looking at constructive criticism, right, positive aspects of the work. What are some good things that my classmate just did? And then just giving a suggestion, what you think you can do better, or what you think you could have done. So it makes them critical thinkers, critical evaluators too. So these feel free to use for your projects as well. Would anyone like to add a comment? Maybe there's something there that you would like to add in the self or peer learning. Do you think there should be a teacher evaluation of the teacher? I'm sorry? Okay, we have a teacher here in Bangkok. Parents evaluate the teachers, right? Because it's the community involved, right? The parents want to know how their sons and daughters are doing. The teachers then evaluate their kids. Everyone evaluate each other. All right. This also allows even the education system or the school to evaluate their system, their curriculum, their course. So what I'm going to show you now toward the end of this session, and I hope, please, for the assessment part, it's very critical to have this assessment in our lessons. I think we're going to skip this part, but I would just like to share that if you were to take this Bangkok Post story and really do apply it for your class, how would you assess it yourself, and how would your students assess it? You could experiment with these forms in the class. Now, we've been talking a lot about rubrics the past couple of series, and I'm bringing it back here for this series. For collaborative projects or project-based learning, it's good to have the evaluation or the assessment via reflection or feedback, but you also need a kind of score, right? And rubrics help with that because it's taking it more from a bigger perspective, the whole perspective, right? From beginning to the end of the project. And this is a very useful website of how you can create your own rubric. And this is also promoting literacy in creating your own rubric, right? You go online, you sign in, you register, you sign in, you create an account, and you're part of this community of creating rubrics for your class projects. So I'm going to show you how it looks like. I have a slide of the home page, and it's very small in your handout, but I'm going to show you how it looks online, actually. Are we online right now? Yeah? So this is the home page. No, we're not. Okay, so if we go to the screen, the computer screen that I'm on right now, this is the website, rubystar.forteachers.org. It's free, and it's easy to make. I have an account. So I already signed in, but if you don't have an account, you could just go to sign up. It's very easy. and as long as you don't forget your password, but of course you can get it emailed to you. So this is how it looks like in the beginning. And here you can create your own rubric. You just have a template or a frame. So I logged in, there's my S. Sanchez part. And when you log in, you go to this, it goes to this page. And just as a note, this is based in the US, but if you're in international or another country, it's 9999. That's the zip code. You also see it there because you might be wondering, what if I'm not in the US and I want to use this? The zip code is 99999. 5 nines. But you will see it there. But as you can see here, look at all the different projects. Oral projects, products, multimedia, science for science teachers that have English in their lesson, research and writing, work skills. If you scroll all the way down, math, art, music, all of these project-based learning assessment, all different rubrics. So what I did was I went to multimedia. And let's say it's a multimedia project. You click on that, and after reading all the warnings and the description, you can scroll down here and create your own rubric. So here you have a category. It looks complicated, but this is all about literacy in the computer, right? All of us know how to scroll down and look through, and we can choose a category. Are we basing it on how students present? Oh, this is very blurry. Okay, it says here presentation, sources, permission, all the different characteristics that you want to evaluate the students on. And then let's say I pick presentation because I want to evaluate the student's presentation. So it's ranged from 4, 3, 2, 1, right? 1 being the not so good. And you can change it. You can even edit what's in there, you know? So you can change the description. And then you go on, and then you submit this rubric. It's right there. After it's created, you can even share this with the students because then they'll know how they're being evaluated, right? Oh, okay, all right. So if they're looking at my presentation, my language skills, pronunciation, etc., then I will focus on improving a lot of these characteristics. So, and this is just for multimedia projects. So I hope that for your last session, when you are preparing a lesson or activity for your students, that you use, it doesn't have to be this, but you create a rubric or an assessment form and have students assess themselves and each other and share it with the class, because it is very important to evaluate your own learning. Sure.
เราก็จะจบรายการวันนี้ด้วยการเรื่องของ assessment อาจารย์เชก็ได้แนะนำตัวเว็บไซต์ที่ทุกท่านอาจจะสามารถจะนำไปสร้างรูบริกได้ด้วยตัวเองมีความหลากหลายที่อาจารย์เชได้แนะนำไว้แล้วนะคะแล้วสิ่งสำคัญที่เราประเด็นเรื่องของ assessment ก็คือเราควรจะให้นักเรียนนอกจาก self access แล้วควรจะเป็นลักษณะของ peer feedback นะคะแล้วตรง self feedback จะนำไปสู่ self evaluation และดิฉันคิดว่าสุดท้ายก็จะนำไปสู่สิ่งที่เรียกว่า self realization เพราะว่าจากการทำโปรเจกต์ทั้งหมดเขาจะได้ตระหนักถึงสิ่งที่มันใหญ่กว่าตัวเขาเองคือสังคมด้วยค่ะ
Thank you. Oh, Kun Damon would like to add something.
I'd like just to add that rubrics do make a difference, and they should be given at the same time that you give the instructions to the project. Not at the end, not later, but at the same time you give the instructions. Because then students work along, they can see what they're doing, what they need to do to get the better grade that they want to get. And it helps them to keep on track, on target, focused, and it helps them not only to assess themselves, but to assess peers as they're going along. So rubrics really are amazing. And I worked with teachers who thought it's too time consuming, it'll take too much time, I can't do it. But with Ruby Star, you just fill in those blocks very quickly, give it to the students. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's a great useful tool because in the end, it becomes easy for us, but it's also more transparent for the students because they know that it's not just this, what did I get a B? You know, they will know how they are doing throughout the whole process. So it's also showing the collaborative community. It's showing respect for each other that this is what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for, and this is how you can work on it. So yes, rubrics definitely are better than just, here it is, the grade.
Yeah, and it gives them a choice. They work to the grade that they want to get.
Right, as we know. Right, thank you very much. So for our session today, I hope you learned a few new things and that you'll apply them in your class, including the assessment for our last session. And I look forward to the projects that are going on in your head and in your classrooms. So thank you very much for your participation, and I look forward to our last session. Thank you.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ